Are you looking for a monitor to edit your videos, images and create your content for web? In this video, I will compare between the Asus ProArt PA279CV and PA278QV to show you if they are good enough for your work. Last year, I've made the review for Asus ProArt PA279CV for content creation. I've made that video because I wanted to know more about the monitor and I didn't find almost any information about it, so I share with you my experience a little while after buying it. But after a few months I've bought another ProArt monitor, the PA278QV, so now I have two displays in my setup. In this video I will answer the questions you've made for PA279CV and share my experience using both monitors for my work. I am a digital product designer focusing on user experience, but I also edit photos as well as videos, and currently I am using the PA279CV as my main display and the PA278QV as a second display in portrait mode in a VESA stand. But for this video I will put both in landscape for some examples. So, am I still satisfied? Is it worth investment? Does this monitor still do the job for content creation like video, photo or any other artwork? Let's find out. But before we start, consider to subscribe and like the video. That small action will help this channel and I will be very grateful for that. So when unboxing the PA278QV, I got an USB upstream cable, an HDMI cable, a DisplayPort to mini DisplayPort, the power cable, the color calibration test report, Asus VIP Member notice, the stand base and the ProArt display monitor with the stand. While for the PA279CV you got the USB-C to C cable, which also works as a power cable, one DisplayPort to DisplayPort, the power cable and the color calibration report, Asus VIP Member notice and the card that informs that your display is Kalman verified and that now I am part of the Asus ProArt family. In the back of PA279CV, there's two full-size DisplayPorts version 2, a full-size DisplayPort version 1.2, a USB with 65W power delivery, a 3.5mm audio jack and two USB 3-part Type A. In the left side you have two more USB Type A ports and you have the power specifications printed in the back of the display. You also have in the back the power port and the switch. In the PA278QV there's a DVI port for old computers, an HDMI port, a display port, a mini display port, a line out, an audio jack 3.5 port, a USB 3.0 upstream port and two USB 3.0 ports. On the left side you have two more USB 3.0 ports and you also have in the back the power port and the switch. As I said, I am using both monitors and I decided to mount them in a VESA wall mount. Both monitors come with the possibility to do that, but if you will use the stand base that comes with ProArt, you must know that you can adjust the height, lets you swivel the monitor, tilt the monitor and pivot the monitor 90 degrees clockwise and counterclockwise to make it a portrait monitor. In PA279CV you have 4K UHD resolution with adaptive sync within a refresh range of 40 to 60 Hz with response time to 5 milliseconds. It has international color standard 100% sRGB and Rec 709 and 83% Adobe RGB. The PA278QV is a WQHD or 2K monitor and it has an IPS ultra-wide view angles with 75 Hz refresh rate and it has flicker-free technology for more comfortable viewing experience and to minimize eye strain, headaches and eye fatigue. It has international color standards 100% sRGB and 100% Rec 709, wide color gamma and the color accuracy delta E less than 2 for both monitors. Both have this ruler which can be very useful for people working with print. You can set the A3 size, B5, A4 and they bring these exclusive ProArt presets that provides quick multiple color adjustments for video editing, color grading or photo manipulation. It also has this ProArt palette that lets you customize your display via a wide range of parameters. You can set brightness, contrast, color temperature, gamma, and so on. In PA279CV you have HDR, but it's grayed out. If you want to select HDR, you have to set HDR support for your operation system from Windows or Mac OS, and then HDR will be enabled to select. I use a Mac and I still haven't found it how I can enable it, however for my work I don't need it. You can also adjust the speaker volume, but the audio quality is not good since they are low powered and in the back of the display. You can connect multiple input sources on this computer and use picture-in-picture or picture-by-picture mode, and at the bottom you have the different input sources. Both have the blue light filter that will save your eyes from harmful blue light with 4 level settings that you can switch in the monitor menu. So now that you know the features of each one, let's see in more details the differences and my experience with these monitors. It's hard to show the real color accuracy on camera, but let's try our best to see the most details as we can and answer your questions. Usually I work with Sketch or Figma while doing some product design, but when I need to create artworks or manage social media, I use Photoshop and Lightroom for image editing, and then Premiere or DaVinci for video editing. Let's see how both displays look when I am working. I will show you the flow that I'm used to work with both monitors. So the PA279CV as a main monitor in front of me and PA278QV as a second monitor in portrait mode on my right side. But after it, I will show you the same image in both so that you can analyze the performance of it. Okay, while I'm doing web design, I have in my main monitor the design software, in this case Figma, and then in the PA278QV I can use it to have the email, browser, the task lists, or any other hands-on tool that can help me on the fly. When I'm creating artworks or doing some images for tutorials, I use the PA279CV for image editing and PA278QV to have the navigator. So for example, if I am working in a detail in a specific part of my artwork that is zoomed in, I can still see the full image in the other display so that I can always have control of what I am doing. And as you can see, the color accuracy is pretty much the same, so I don't lose quality in any display. But I can also have the browser open in case I need to find some more inspiration or search for assets to my designs. For Lightroom is the same thing. I open the app in the main display and then I use the other for having the rest of information. And you can notice also here the color accuracy of the photos. For video editing, and this part is the one I know less, I use this for creating videos like this one that you are watching. I put all clips together, try to do some color grading, and this just works perfect on both displays. Sometimes it's slow, but it's related to the laptop I use. Besides all the artworks, I also create the thumbnails, the social media posts that I need to share my work with you, and for that I use also Photoshop in the main screen and the other displays to create my notes for publishing. When I am not working, I like to see videos from other YouTube creators or music clips, and I can share with you how video from YouTube looks in max resolution in each display. I hope that my camera can record the details in the image. Enjoy this lovely scenery. Now that you saw my work, I will share some questions from the previous video and try to answer them. I also want to thank the community to respond some comments and lead to some interesting conversations. So question number 1 for Mateus Pilar asks, dude, at the distance you are in minute 6, can you see pixels when reading? So usually I am sitting 40 to 50 centimeters away from the display and I don't need to move myself to see better. In both screens I see clearly and everything is very sharp. Now Syed Aznen asks, hi Ricky, I need a display to go with Mac Studio or Mini for print design. I also make gicle art prints after scanning my original art. Do you think the color space is good enough? Or should I spend more and get a ProArt with 100% RGB? Thanks. So PA279CV is not a wide gamut monitor, which means it cannot reproduce anything more than the 100% sRGB and the 709. So wider gamuts are available like Adobe RGB or the Rec 2020 or ProPhoto. So there's wider color spaces and this monitor is not really appropriate to work with those kind of color gamuts. So for digital editing and digital printing, it's just perfect. What you see is what you get, but if you want to work with a wider gamut like Adobe RGB for specific printing, you need to be cautious on this. Now we have Charles Johnson that asks, nice overview Ricardo, and it was also cool to see your editing near the end of the video. I was wondering, have you tried the DCI P3 mode on this, and if so, how is it? This monitor seems accurate for sRGB and Rec 709, but I haven't found much info on the DCI P3 for this monitor. Thanks. So I haven't worked with it a lot, just while testing the color profiles. So DCI P3 is a wider color gamut than sRGB. It has 20% more colors than sRGB, and this will make colors pop more and you will get a more saturated and vibrant image. I think most of the things are made in 100% sRGB for sRGB displays. So with a wide gamut, you'll get oversaturation. You can calibrate your monitor, but you will not control how it will look in other programs or screens. So yeah, and however, this monitor has 83% of DCI P3 in color gamut. Now, LW10 asks, hi Ricky, thank you for your great review, which is hard to search from YouTube. It really gave me a good information regarding this monitor, and as I'm looking for one, I'm using MacBook Pro 13 from 2016 non-touch bar version. May I know when you using the USB-C cable, does you get the 4K full resolution at 60 Hz and the HDR? Thank you. So currently I'm using the 2018 MacBook Pro with the touch bar, and the USB-C cable works very well, and it also charges my MacBook, which is a game-changing feature. It's less cables and more organization. And yes, it supports the 4K resolution at 60 Hz and works very well. The HDR in Mac, I wasn't able to test it or discover how to make it enable to use it, as I mentioned before. So yeah, I don't know how it works, the HDR in this case. Now this one is from Andrew Turpin. Nice clear review, enjoyed the video. I have a question about your setup. Are you running the Asus as a second monitor for your laptop? If so, how do you find the performance? So currently I'm using my laptop closed with the two monitors, but before I was using the PA279CV as a second monitor, and I've never had issues working with that. Of course, everything will depend on the machine you use, what softwares you work. That all combined with high resolutions will demand more from your machine. The only problem that I have is that my MacBook always need to be charging to use both displays, but with the USB-C connected, that problem is solved. So this one is from Virginia Rubio Moraes. Hi Ricardo, nice review, bought this monitor and was really shocked of how different the colors were from my laptop. Used to be proud of my manual calibration, but now I see the light. How was it wrong all along? But one thing concerned me. At first glance, the color temperature seemed too warm. Is it okay to adjust it to a cooler Kelvin range? Will it still be calibrated? You will not lose the standard presets that are coming with the displays. However, if you create your own calibration, then maybe you will lose some control of what will be the end result. Usually I stay with the standard so that I can ensure that most of the screens will display what I am seeing here. Now we have one from Luís Alvoeiro Quaresma. It's written in Portuguese, but in a nutshell, he wants to know about the bleed in the monitor when it's dark, or if I notice another problem in the display while working. So I haven't experienced any bleed in this screen with dark background, but also with white backgrounds. I'm working with these monitors for almost 1 year and usually more than 8 hours a day, and they're still so good. It's anti-glare, so the lights and reflections don't bother you while working. Now let's answer one more question. So for the final question, Muzia is asking, do the colors look similar and comparable to the MacBook and iPhone displays? Yes, this one was one of my concerns when I was choosing the display, and both of them are pretty similar to MacBook and iPhone displays. Alright, to conclude, as you can see, I give a lot of use on these displays for my daily work and content creation. So, am I still satisfied? Does it worth the money? Absolutely yes. I am very satisfied with the results of both displays that help me every day doing my job. The presets are very helpful, and that versatility is so nice to use depending on what kind of work we need to do. The visuals are sharp, the color accuracy is very good for visual content that appear online on the web. So I think PA279CV has a slightly better image quality. I noticed them more sharp than PA278QV and the colors look more real in it, but it's not that much. For me, I almost don't find anything negative in both. The audio quality of speakers are not so good, but yeah, that's not what we are looking for in a display. For the price of each display, they do the job perfectly for digital content creation like video editing, photo editing, manipulation, and digital printing. For people who need to print using Adobe RGB, they need to look for other displays and of course more expensive. Alright, I hope this video was useful for you. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. Have a great day.